Hello my Sloth Squad, Sloth Power here, and today we're going to dive into an iceberg image on one of my favorite things in gaming, the Chao Garden. Now, if you don't know what an iceberg image is, it's kind of a tier list of facts and theories that get more obscure as you go deeper down into the depths of the iceberg. And for those of you who don't know what the Chao Garden is, the Chao Garden was a mini side game in Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 where you could raise these cute little teardrop-looking creatures called Chao. Now, I made this iceberg all by myself because I consider myself pretty knowledgeable in the Chao Garden. Now, I'm gonna stop stalling, so let's dive right into the iceberg! Chao Black Market. In Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, you could go into the Chao Kindergarten, and if you go to the bottom left corner of the kindergarten building, you'll see a janitor's closet which contains the Chao Black Market. It is run by a Chao with glasses, a mustache, and a cute little half-fish creature. He sells colored eggs, which is one of the only ways to get colored Chao eggs, hats, and different types of fruit. You buy all of these items in the game with rings. Chaos is a mutated Chao. So this is a very well-known fact that Chaos, who is the main villain in Sonic Adventure, is a mutated Chao. He protects the, the Chao and the Chaos and Master Emerald. Tikal. Tikal is an orange echidna who's the daughter of the chief of the Echidna tribe. She's a big character in Sonic Adventure as she becomes friends with Chaos and the other Chao. She tries to stop her father's tribe from trying to take the Master Emerald, and in the end she puts hers and Chaos' soul into the Master Emerald to prevent Chaos from causing any more destruction. Chao Life Cycle. So every Chao goes through the Chao Life Cycle, which begins the second they hatch from the egg. They go into their child stage, which lasts around 3 hours. It can be a bit quicker depending on how often you're feeding your Chao. And then, when they are old enough, they'll evolve into their adult stage by going into a blue cocoon. There are different types of Chao that they can evolve into, such as Hero, Dark, and Neutral. And then, after a bit, the Chao will mature over the course of their adult life until they are about the age of 5 in in-game time. And then they will go into a pink cocoon if their happiness is high enough, and they will reincarnate as an egg and keep 10% of all of their staffs. Or, if a Chao is not happy in its life, it will go into a gray cocoon and it will disappear forever. Second evolution. So remember how I just explained how a Chao goes into that blue cocoon and turns into a fully grown adult Chao? That's called first evolution. Over time, throughout the rest of a Chao's adult life, there's a gradual change in a Chao's colors, horns, wings, and tail that can change. This is known as second evolution. It occurs very gradually and slowly, so you might not notice it over time. But you will definitely notice it by the time a Chao gets to be almost at its time of reincarnation. This little feature provides so much variety on your Chao's looks. Chao in Space. Chao in Space is a fictional movie in Sonic Adventure 2 that has several posters of it up in the city level, such as in City Escape and Radical Highway. In 2019, Sonic Team actually made an official short of Chao in Space around Christmas time, and made that reference into a real thing in the Sonic universe. Tiny Chao Garden. So, if you have a Game Boy Advance and a copy of Sonic Advance 1 or 2 and for some reason Sonic Pinball Party, you could access a small little minigame called the Tiny Chao Garden. This was a way to connect your GameCube Chao file up to your Sonic Advance file, and you could transport your Chao between the GameCube and the Tiny Chao Garden. In Tiny Chao Garden, there were exclusive eggs that you could obtain, exclusive fruits that you could obtain, and exclusive tree seeds that you could obtain. And it was also just a cute way to take your Chao on the go with you. Omocha. Omocha is a robotic Chow that acts as a tutorial character to give you help and hints if you get stuck in Sonic Adventure 2. She's really annoying though, kind of like Navi, so it's fun to do stuff like spin dash into her, shoot her as Tails, or, send her into the deep black abyss of space. She's been in many games since her debut in Sonic Adventure 2, such as Sonic Generations and Team Sonic Racing, where she's just as annoying. Yosh. So, in Sonic Adventure 2, every character has a little thing that they say when they get down and pet a Chow. For instance, Tails will say, "Everything will be okay," and Sonic will say, "Don't worry, buddy." But Eggman, for some reason, says, "Yosh!" For, no reason. Chaos Chow. So if you let your Chow reincarnate at least twice, and when it's a child, you give it every single animal in Sonic Adventure 2, it will evolve into a special type of Chow, called a Chaos Chow. There's a neutral, hero, and dark variant of them, and the cool thing about Chaos Chow is that they are completely immortal, and they cannot obtain any of the animal parts if you give them any animals. These Chow are super time consuming to obtain, but they are worth it. Sapphire Chow. Sapphire Chow is a YouTuber with about 10k subs who makes videos on her channel about the Chow world in Chao Garden. She's basically a Chow expert, and she has a lot of videos on how to breed every type of Chow, tips on how to raise your Chow, and she has an entire Chao Garden series. She's the main Chow YouTuber if you're looking for one, and I'll leave a link to her channel in the description. I would recommend you subscribe to her, especially if you love stuff like the Chao Garden. Cheese and Chocola. So Cheese is a two-tone Chow with a red bow tie that is owned by Cream the Rabbit, and Cheese has a brother named Chocola, a brown two-tone Chow with a blue bow tie. In Sonic Heroes, Chocola goes missing and Cream and Cheese, with the help of Amy and Big, have to go rescue him. Cheese is definitely the most prominent Chow with a name in the Sonic franchise, and it's probably the one Chow that you know with an actual name. Chao Karate Expert Tournament. So if you enter your Chow into Chao Karate and defeat the Expert Tournament, which is the hardest tournament that you have specifically, you can unlock the Super Difficulty level, which has extremely difficult opponents, including 3 different Chaos Chow. Character Chow. So, by evolving your Chow into a certain type of Chow, they will resemble certain characters from Sonic and other Sega games. For instance, a neutral run type Chow will look very similar to Sonic, while a neutral flying type Chow will look similar to the character Knights from the Sega game Knights into Dreams. And a dark run type Chow will look like Shadow the Hedgehog, except with green highlights instead of red. But if you make it run and make its second evolution run, it will look more like Shadow with the red highlights. These are the main examples of character Chow that you can obtain legitimately. Oh, don't worry, we'll talk about other character Chow later. Infinite Animal and Chaos Drive Glitch. This is literally the most well-known Chao Garden glitch ever. If you stood a specific distance away from a Chow, and you give it an Animal or Chaos Drive, you can level up your Chow stats without using up the Animal and or Chaos Drive. People use this all the time to level up their Chow quickly. Heck, I even use it on my little baby Chow, as you can see from my Chows on screen. Chaperone. So in Sonic Adventure 1, if you won the Emerald Course in the Chow races, you could face a great two-tone Chow named Chaperone, or Jacqueline. He was known as both. Now, his main little gimmick was that he wouldn't immediately start running, but he would just chill in a nice, sexy pose like the Chad he is. And then he starts running, and this boy This boy is fast! He also returns in Sonic Adventure 2, in the challenge races, although he doesn't give you that sweet, sexy pose, and he doesn't give you a head start either this time. Duel and challenge races. So, if you complete all 3 difficulty levels of the beginner races, you'll unlock a bunch of new races. Among these 2 races, the most interesting ones to me anyway, are the duel and challenge races. Now, duel races have you face off in longer versions of the beginner races, and they're more atoned specifically for that skill. Meanwhile, the challenge races provide different challenges, such as you can race against Omocha, the small animals that you collect in the levels, and many more. And you get to re-face off against Chaperone, like I mentioned. So yeah, these are just fun little creative races that I quite enjoy racing. There are many stats that Chao have that are hidden to the player. Happiness, luck, and intelligence are the main 3 in Sonic Adventure 2. Luck helps out with events in the Chao races such as the Jack-in-the-Box obstacle and the pitfall portion. Intelligence helps out with the part of the Chao race where you have to pick up a specific object and bring it to the end of the hall. And happiness is what determines whether a Chao reincarnates or dies. In Sonic Adventure, these stats do not exist. Instead, there's an HP stat, but don't worry, we'll talk about that later. Intelligence and luck are all increased by every animal you give your Chao, and happiness can be increased by petting your Chao. Saying goodbye to a Chao. If you take your Chao to one of the Chao transport machines in the garden and click the goodbye button that has a tree next to it, you can delete your Chao from the garden. Okay, fine, you just send them away to a peaceful forest where your Chao will be happy without you. Apparently. But the sad music and picture really makes you wonder, is that forest really good for them? Or are you just exiling them to where they'll be forever alone and abandoned as a little orphan Chao? I have never used this feature before, as it makes me way too sad to let go of any of my precious virtual pets. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Garden differences. So there are many differences in the appearance between the Dreamcast and other versions of the Sonic Adventure 2 Chao Gardens. The Dreamcast version of Hero Garden had a river with a bridge cutting through the garden, while the Dark Garden had a whole hill with a mini cave that had a cauldron in it. The Sonic Adventure 2 Battle version of the game removed these things and made the gardens a lot more flat. Man, in my opinion, the old designs were way better. It gave the gardens more of a personality, you know? Animal abilities. Giving different animals to your Chao can enable them to do different things. For instance, giving a Chao a seal will enable it to roll around on its stomach, doing little barrel rolls, while a sheep will enable the Chao to do somersaults. And a skeleton dog, for some reason, will enable a Chao to wear hats. Don't ask me why Sega gave skeleton dogs that ability. Anyway, there's many more of these, and if you want to see everything that the animals can do, there's a chart that will be up on the screen that's from the Chao Island Wiki. Hidden eggs in the Sonic Adventure 1 hubs. In Sonic Adventure, there was a hidden egg in each one of the hub worlds. In the ancient ruins, at the shore of the bottom of the waterfall, you would find a silver egg, which would hatch into a silver Chao. In the egg carrier, you could go to the prison cells, to the prison cell area. And in the last one, there's a black Chao egg. And finally, in Station Square, there's a gold egg on display in one of the stores. You will need to take the egg-shaped rock that's near the main police station town hall thing where you fight Chaos Zero, and switch it out with the golden egg in order to obtain it. You can hatch these eggs in the Chao Garden to get the rare Chao. Chao do not age outside of the gardens. So in Chao World, you can take a Chao to the Chao Kindergarten. But even if you do, they don't age, because time only passes for the Chao while they're in the gardens, and you also have to be in the gardens. So therefore, Chao only age in the gardens while you specifically are in that garden. So if you want to do some age control, you can spend more or less time in a specific garden. Moon Chao. The Moon Chao were an exclusive type of Chao you could obtain if you downloaded it on the now defunct online Chao black market. It was a Chao that had a purple shiny texture to it, and it could evolve like any normal Chao. Unfortunately, the Chao are unobtainable legitimately and would need to be hacked in. And also, allegedly, if you bought every Jewel Chao egg in the Tiny Chao Garden, you could rarely buy a Moon Chao, but I couldn't find anything on the internet if that was confirmed true or not. True location of Chao World. So on the Sonic Adventure 2 stage select map, the Chao Garden is depicted on being in the middle of the ocean, but obviously that's because we don't know the actual location of Chao World. Where the actual Chao World is, we may never know. It's kind of like where the Tower of the Wing Cap is in Mario 64. Tails drowning in Hero Garden. In the Dreamcast version of Hero Garden, the water by the fountain is extremely deep. It's so deep, in fact, that if you put Tails in it, it goes over his head. Which means if you stand in the water for long enough, you can actually drown Tails and lose a life in Chao World. Now, obviously, this was fixed in newer versions of the game, and they made the water level lower, but it's just hilarious how in the Dreamcast version, you can just straight up drown Tails. Fortune Teller name references. So if you ask the fortune teller in the fortune telling house in the Chao Kindergarten to name your Chao for you, some of the names that she can give you are references. So Dejime, or however you pronounce that, could be a reference for Dejima in Nagasaki, which is in Japan, which is where Sega is located. Or Nagoshi, which is a reference to the Chief Creative Officer for Sega. And there's a bunch of other little references too, but I'll let you discover those for yourself. Getting caught in the cage in Dark Garden. In Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, if you go to the right corner of the garden, you'll see a tree with a cage on it. And if you jump on the gravestone with Tails, because of Tails' size and jump height, he can fit perfectly into a little spot on the cage which has some collision. You can just slide in and act like you're stuck up there for all of the crimes that you've committed while destroying your Chao's life. Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Chao. So remember how I talked about the character Chao back on Layer 2? Yeah, these are the 3 other exclusive character Chao that I'm going to talk about now, because these ones are special. So, the Tails Chao you could get from Phantasy Star Online, and the Knuckles and Amy Chao came from exclusive events where Sega would give out these Chao, and most of these events were Japan exclusive. So, most players probably do not have these Chao legitimately, if at all. So now if most players want these Chao, they will have to hack the game. And literally, the only difference is that they look different and they look pretty. It's all the aesthetic and have no difference to a regular Chao. The origin of the Chao. So, for this entry, we're going to have to talk about what inspired the Chao, because that's what the Iceberg is referring to. So the Chao were inspired by the Nighttopians from Nights into Dreams. Nighttopians are the inhabitants of the night world in Nights into Dreams. They look like little angels with these long egg heads and a halo in the game. Although they serve no story purpose, they actually were Sega's first attempt at an artificial life that actually inspired the Chao. So during gameplay, you can affect the Nighttopians' emotions in order to get them to reproduce and multiply. there's a whole bunch of other complexity involving different types of Nitopians and breeding, and this system was kind of complex and hard to understand, but that's where the origin of the Chao came from, and that is the origin of the Chao. They came from Nights into Dreams, so everyone give a thank you to the kind of creepy Nitopians. Welcome to Chao World. In the original Dreamcast version of Sonic Adventure 2, when you would enter the Chao lobby, Omocha would show up out of nowhere and say, "Welcome to Chao World," in her stupid little robotic voice, before leaving after a bit. This was removed in the newer versions of Sonic Adventure 2, and was most likely replaced with the big titles at the top of the screen telling you where you were. Chao do not use the entire garden. In Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, the waypoint system in the gardens got messed up to the point where there's only waypoints on half of the Hero and Dark Gardens. This means that Chao never will naturally use an entire half of the garden, causing so much wasted space. And it's kind of annoying. Luckily, there's a mod on the PC version that fixes this issue, so your Chao can roam freely on the right side of the garden. The Chao Playground. So the Chao Playground was a removed feature in Sonic Adventure 2 that was originally supposed to be in the Chao Kindergarten. It was theorized that this was a place where players could share their Chao and download other people's Chao from the internet. So sort of think like Wonder Trade from Pokemon. Sadly, this feature got cut for some reason, and now we just have the assets in the files which people have compiled into the image that I put on the side of the iceberg. Hero Garden is heaven and Dark Garden is hell. This is a personal theory I have because when a Chao evolves into a Hero Chao, their emotion ball turns into a halo, and Hero Garden looks like a floating island on pretty rolling pink clouds with bells and calming music in the background. And Hero Garden is located on a staircase that goes up into the sky. Meanwhile, if a Chao evolves into a Dark Chao, their emotion ball gets all spiky, and they get demon wings and a tail. The Dark Garden has dead trees with some fruit on it, gravestones, and a blood-red pond. The music has witch cackles, batwing flutters, and kind of creepy music. And the garden is located down a staircase, down into, like, the earth. I believe that the developers are probably going for a hell and heaven theme, so that's why I think that is the case. Killing your Chao in Sonic Adventure 1. So remember all the way back on the second layer of the iceberg when I explained hidden stats and I talked about that hidden HP stat in Sonic Adventure 1? Well, that's actually your Chao's health point stat. So whenever you would attack it, such as spin dashing it, ramming into it on accident, tail whipping it, smacking it with Amy's hammer, basically any of that, its HP would lower. And if your Chao reaches 0 by your hands and not from fighting another Chao, your Chao will go into a gray cocoon and die. So that means you can effectively kill your Chao. And I'm sure people have probably tried speedrunning it before. Well, I think we all know what would happen if Dream got into the Chao Garden and wanted to speedrun something. Chao are the most powerful beings in the Sonic universe. So, I spoke about how Chaos was a mutated Chao at the top of the iceberg, and he's literally a god of destruction. Which leads on to the theory that Chao are very powerful. They are extremely powerful. They can seem to fall from great heights, probably without getting injured. They have their wings, they can evolve. They are clearly some kind of godly creature. And I mean, Chaos Chaos are immortal, so, they're basically gods, guys. Which means that the Chao are most likely the most powerful Sonic characters in the cast. Hi, thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed this iceberg video, as much as I enjoy making it, feel free to drop a like. And I know this is kind of annoying, but maybe also subscribe. I post content not regularly, but when I feel like I can post content. I'm thinking of maybe making another Iceberg video because I had so much fun making the Chao garden one. I'm thinking maybe one on the Dream SMP. If you guys want to see that, comment down below. And with that, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. This has been Sloth Power, over and out!